So the next workflow we're going to cover is creating batches for manufactured goods or products for that matter. So first we'll start off with one of our Brazilian roasted products, which currently has itself listed as a batch trackable item, and it's listed as I make this product. So this means I assign the batch number to a completed manufacturing order, and then the quantity that comes out of it will get that batch number. It has also a product recipe that includes the green beans, which are they themselves batch trackable materials. So if we do a make to stock workflow, then we will go ahead and generate our manufacturing order here from the quick add. You could also do it from the stock screen, doesn't matter. And we will choose Brazilian coffee in the 250 gram packages. Okay, so looks good. We have the green beans in stock, so this is not a problem. And secondly, we also need to choose the planned quantity. Let's say we're going to make 10 units of this product. And then there's the batch number. Batch number can be updated with this little pencil icon here. Okay. Now, there's one very specific rule in Katana with respect to batch trackable goods from the manufacturing side. You cannot fully complete a manufacturing order that's made to stock if it doesn't have a batch number present. The easiest way to do it is to assign the batch number prior to production starting, or most importantly, prior to it finishing. So let's go ahead and create a first batch here. Let's say batch-009. We'll create a new one. We'll add an expiration date, a few months out, and hit confirm. Now, of course, batch tracking is also compatible with shop floor functionality, which we'll cover in future tutorials. But for the most basic level, let's start with this workflow inside of the Katana application. Now, whenever you complete a manufacturing order that is consuming also batch trackable materials, then this is what happens. You select the done option. It says, you need to assign the batches. Please assign some of the batch numbers associated with this. So you can see here, green coffee beans. Presently, this is only for the ingredients because we already have a batch number for the products coming out of this manufacturing order. So we need to choose from which batch we're going to take from our green coffee beans in order to complete these finished goods. So I would just go over here and select from the specific batches associated with this order. Now, going back to the last video where we brought in the materials, you can see there's a lot of interesting things happening here. Now, today is the 26th of November. This means that I've got a couple of batches to choose from. Katana has a feature that supports first in, first out methodology, which means that the first items that go into stock, which have the nearest expiring date, are the ones that need to be taken out of stock first. The same would also apply for those that are created without expiration dates. So there's a two-step process in the logic of Katana when it comes to FIFO, or first in, first out, is that what you should do when you're consuming materials from inventory is consume the materials that are expiring first. If you don't have an expiration date, it will then suggest to consume the materials from a batch number that was created first compared to the other batch numbers. So this is something you have to think about when it comes to the consumption of those materials. What's also interesting to note here is I apparently have two batches in stock of these green beans that are expired, and they're expired because it shows me red. So Katana is showing you as well at any given moment that you might have some expired batches that you cannot use because they're simply just no good anymore. But it's also showing you them in the correct order of the ones you can use. So once you see this red icon, you're like, okay, well, they're 5 days past expiration. I can only take from the beans 3 stock, so I would choose it from there. And then I would hit confirm, and then the manufacturing order is now completed. So what's really cool about this is you can start to see where the traceability is appearing. The first level of traceability is here inside of the ingredients list on the manufacturing order. So this is manufacturing order number 5. The beans were the green beans that were used in manufacturing order number 5 to make batch number 9 with this expiration date come from the green beans that are from a supplier that are in the beans 3 batch. And I might sit here and say to myself, well, where is the beans 3 batch from? If I need to know, I can go and look at my historical batches. So for example, I go to stock, I go to materials on the batch list, and then I look for my beans 3 batch, which is located here, and I see I've got 7.5 kilograms in stock. Where did those come from? So beans 3 batch of those materials that were used in manufacturing order number 5, we subtracted 2.5 kilograms, came from purchase order number 15, which I received on the 14th of November. So today's the 26th. I received them on the 14th of November. They have been in my stock for almost 2 weeks, maybe a little more than 2 weeks. And they come from PO 15. If I look at PO 15, this is when it was received. And this is also the received date and time. And then this is the supplier, the coffee bean farmer. If something happened with the batch, for example, somebody got food poisoning, I don't know, and we needed to do a recall on any of the products I made, I can trace it back to the green bean supplier to where they come from. I would get on the phone with them and say, hi, green bean supplier. We have a purchase order that was received on our side on this particular day. Here is the batch code. They would have an associated invoice that we had paid against from this PO, where they can look up the batch tracking for their internal systems and then start to really dig into where that particular ingredient came from if we ever needed to use it. So this is where the pieces start to come together with batch tracking, so you can see how we have a paper trail of history for that item. So let's look back on the completed manufacturing order number 5 that we just completed here, and you'll see that we've got 10 pieces of batch 009. So from the stock screen, if we're looking at batches for product, and we see batch 009 is located here, 10 pieces, well, where did that come from? Batch 009 came from manufacturing order number 5. This is the only one. So if I have multiple manufacturing processes over various days that all come with a similar batch number for whatever reason, process-related reasons or some other manufacturing-related reason, I can actually assign a pre-existing batch number to other manufacturing orders and give that batch number directly to those particular products that are going into stock. So that's how that works. This is what we call an inventory intel component, which is actually filterable by batch tracking. This dropdown is not available on the Essentials plan because batch tracking is not available in the Essentials plan. But when you activate it and you use the inventory intel on a batch trackable item, you can look at it here and also break it down by location as well. So next up, we'll do a general overview of batch tracking for sales order fulfillment, and also briefly talk about the make-to-order workflow and how that works with batch tracking, especially when you might have things like e-commerce involved with your sales order imports. All right, so that's coming up next.